I have a confession to make. I don't love all the Souls games. I have played and beaten all of these beautiful pieces of art, but they're not equal at all. So you know the drill, I'll be sharing my opinion on each of the Souls games made exclusively by Fromsoftware. I'll be judging them by my personal experience with them, of course, objective flaws and strengths, and price if I need to. I'll also be ranking them from worst to best, so let's start off with Dark Souls 1. I did not enjoy this game for the most part. I can 100% understand why there are a lot of people who love it. But then when you watch them play, they look like this. It's also not really fair since I played the Dark Souls trilogy in opposite order, meaning I started with Dark Souls 3, then 2, then 1. My main argument here is there are a lot of areas that suck ass. And many enemies in these areas are either insanely easy, brutally difficult, or just plain annoying due to the environment. An example would be Blighttown. Nobody likes Blighttown. The enemies are annoying and... Nope, nuh-uh. Next up in 7th place will be Demon Souls. When I started playing this, my first impression was, this is stupid, this sucks balls. I then started a new save and thought, oh my god, this game is beautiful. And now on my third playthrough, I'm back to, this is fucking stupid. Don't get me wrong, the Demon Souls remake is the most beautiful Souls game you will ever play. But that doesn't really matter when the gameplay is the same as in 2009. The remake is, unfortunately, just a graphics upgrade. And a big one at that. You're paying a shit ton of money for a game that you could have emulated for free. It's stunning, but that's about it. And don't get me started on the bosses, it's just gimmicks mostly. We're moving on! The next entry is probably one you won't like very much, and I'm not proud of this at all, but it's going to Bloodborne. Now I know that sounds bad, but keep in mind, if you enjoyed a game that I personally didn't, just be happy about it. You're this guy in this situation, alright? The game just isn't my cup of tea. However, we can all agree the main game isn't anywhere near as good as the Old Hunters DLC. One of my top favorite bosses of all time is the Orphan of Kos. I would love to give this game a second chance if it ever got a remaster, because I truly want to love this game. However, it's a 30 FPS nightmare. There's just way too many mechanics that slow down the game, like the fast traveling being inconvenient and the blood vials needing to be farmed from enemies. Need I also mention the boss quality? I'm sorry, but I'm not a huge fan. Remember, I'm not a game reviewer, and you should not use my opinions in order to create your own. I understand there are a lot of people who love this game, so I would 110% recommend it. Okay, now I know you're trying to mess with me, Miyazaki, you... Word of the day? Quality of life.
That's actually 3 words.
Pictures for each bonfire. The chick who sells stones is next to the blacksmith. Bonfire aesthetics, boss weapons and armor are insanely easy to acquire. What the fuck is that? Okay, ADP. What does ADP do? Huh. ADP is the main thing people point out when criticizing Dark Souls 2, and that's fair. A stat that increases your roll iframes is pretty silly. Is what I would say if I was a bitch! If you actually played the game for like an hour, you could easily get this stat up to like 20 and then forget about it! Dark Souls 2 is known for handing out souls left and right, so becoming over-leveled has never been easier. Did you forget to level it up until mid to late game? That's fine! Use a bonfire aesthetic! I seriously don't get why so many people hate on this masterpiece. Dark Souls 2? More like Dark Souls poo. How about that? Dark Souls 3 is an amazing game. I originally wanted to rank this much higher, just because it holds such a special place in my heart. It's the best of the Souls trilogy, but I have to admit it's not the best of all time. Hey! I'm not done! Okay, let me finish. Dark Souls 3 took all of the things that made the previous games good and made a game that was great. Allow me to give an honorable mention to the bosses. Oh my god, the bosses. We got big dude in armor, big dude in armor, big dude in armor, very big dude in armor, big girl in armor, and armor? Seriously, are Soul Splash really that easy to please? Up next, we of course have the one and only Elden Ring. Do I even have to do this one? It pretty much explains itself, right? Okay, what I personally find amazing about Elden Ring are the builds. If you can think of it, you can most likely make it in-game. You can roleplay anything and have fun 99% of the time. You wanna be a fucking bird? I'm a bird warrior.
How does your skull even fit inside that thing?
I'm actually a guardian build. You'll see.
Ah, fuck. Bam! Bam!
You died?
And another heavy.
Flying! Oh! Wanna switch builds because you got bored? It's never been easier. I do feel the need to rank the main game and the Shadows of the Erdtree DLC separately due to the DLC being as huge as the normal game. I'll rank the DLC at 9.9 while the main game is a 10. It has its flaws, but they did the best they could for DLCs to one of the greatest games of all. Yes, sir! Wait, Elden Ring is a 10? But is there another game coming up ranked higher? Sekiro, 11 out of 10. Sekiro is proof that an action game doesn't need to be complicated to have great combat. Dare I say, the best combat. It's just parry, dash sometimes, jump sometimes. And it works! By allowing the player to essentially parry infinitely, the developers got to make some pretty insane boss combos. And don't take that lightly. Most of these bosses are brutally difficult, but they're fair. And if you're planning on actually beating the game, you're forced to learn. And that's what I love about Sekiro. You have to learn how things work. In Dark Souls, you didn't have to use a shield. In Bloodborne, you didn't have to use a gun, which is a huge feature. But in Sekiro, you have to parry. Sure, there's the Mikiri counter. You don't have to unlock it, but without it, how exactly is a casual supposed to see the end? Wait, you're not? Huh. But by far the best part about Sekiro is that it doesn't trigger my arachnophobia. What? No, arachnophobia, not homo. Now I know what you're thinking. You seriously believe Elden Ring? No, the rumors are false. Let's just get the painful truth out of the way. Nightreign is not a Souls game. Or at least I wouldn't count it as one. It has all the things that made the combat great and some pretty neat bosses from all of the previous games. This is more of an honorable mention instead of an actual ranking, since comparing it to the others just wouldn't be fair. I absolutely love combat and boss fights, so Nightreign would naturally become one of my favorite games of all time. Especially since they got fucking John Sekiro over here. For someone like me who's beaten all of the Souls games made by Fromsoftware, it's a nice little refresher to get something new and be able to challenge bosses I've never faced before, and get to fight in a squad full of interesting characters. If I had to rank it, simply based on how much time I've put into it, it'll probably be here between Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3. I would have loved to see some better crossover bosses since some of them could have been... Why are you here? So, that's my unbiased ranking of all of the Fromsoftware games. Yep, very unbiased. Oh.